I know that a lot of times you think that in order to paint a portrait, you have to lay in the exact right color into one spot and then just kind of like a puzzle piece, put it all together that way. But that's really hard and oftentimes incredibly inaccurate. So instead of trying to lay everything down in one single layer, we end up doing something called a layered process, where you're only having to focus on one step at a time. After you've laid in your highlights, midtones, and values, then you finish off your painting by just adding glazes of color. I was trying to think of a good way to teach this to you, and I was playing with my daughter. I don't know if you've ever seen these things, but they're these like magnetic things, and you could build them into like shapes and whatever. But they kind of reminded me of color glazing. How this sort of works is you're going to be applying transparent layers of color on top of your valued painting. Now obviously it's not going to be this strong and saturated, but the idea is still the same. Why would you be adding colored glazes at the very end? There are many reasons why you can be applying color glazes in order to make something look more natural or to enhance the way your painting looks. Every color of the rainbow is really present in everything that we're doing, whether we're seeing it or not. And when we apply layers of color onto our painting, we're really starting to emulate the lighting that is around us, the colors that are casting reflective colored light onto us, even just the way that our skin reacts under certain conditions, like if it's hot outside, we're going to flush. Everything looks the way it does because it's reacting to the environment it's in. So some things that we might think about is the lighting, like for instance, sunlight, moonlight, cell phone light, neon light, really pretty much any kind of lighting that you can think of that will create a certain color on you. I wanted to start you off with this in mind. The face is actually laid down in 3 color sections. You have one that is more yellow, pink, and bluish. And I learned all of this from living legend James Gurney, and you could find his information in this book right here. These sections of our face tend to have more undertones of a certain color, and it really is like the primary colors. You have more yellow, more red, and more blue here. But why would you have sections of color this way? Well, if we think about the easiest one, it's the cheeks, more pink, reddish hues, because we have oxygenated blood in our capillaries and we're able to see that through our skin. And down here, where the skin is more transparent, you're able to see more of the blue deoxygenated blood. Hard for me to say. Up here it's more yellow. We don't have a lot of muscle showing through our vessels or capillaries, so this has more of an undertone of yellow. So should you just paint a yellow strip, a red strip, and a blue strip? No. In fact, as you're going to be able to see throughout the painting process, I never paint one big layer of anything at a time. Everything should be painted in small little sections. And the reason why is you can adjust your opacity or transparency. You can adjust the amount of pigment that you have to it and the amount of value. So never, ever, ever just think you're going to be covering a lot of the face like in big chunks. The part that you would probably do that the most is at the very, very, very beginning, and then work your way to a more refined painting. But since we are working very small, you're going to be working with smaller paintbrushes as well, even when you're starting off with blocking in your values. Let's pretend that we painted this whole thing in a black and white grisaille, and we're done. And the only thing that we have to do at the very end is apply color glazes. So I would probably begin by applying color glazes that were closer to her local color, skin color. And so that might be something in the cadmium orange range, or it might be something in the cadmium red range. The more layers that you add on top of each other, the more opaque it's going to be. So you see how transparent this is at the moment? When you add a layer on top, it is going to be slightly more opaque, and it is going to slightly change the effect of the color underneath it. And by taking your pure paint pigment and adding this, your gloss glazing liquid, is how you would go about doing that. So why don't we show you, I'm going to show you how this looks on paper.